June 4th. Approval of the agenda, we have a addition to add. The June 24th, 2026 Committee of the Whole agenda be amended to add item 5E, UBCM Minister Meeting Requests under discussion items. Could I get a mover? Pam, second, and all in favor? Kate, thank you. Approval of the agenda, recommendation that the Committee of the Whole meeting agenda for June 24th, 2026 be approved as amended. Councillor Evans, Councillor Bushel, all in favor. Thank you. Okay, adoption of the minutes, recommendation of the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting held on June 10th, 2026 be adopted. Councillor Beach, Councillor Bushel, all in favor. Thank you. Okay, we have a delegation, BC Wildfire Services Season Outlook. Welcome, Jeff. Thanks for being with us today. You have the floor.
Yeah, thank you very much. As mentioned, Jeff Dunn here. I am the Fire Center Manager for the Kamloops region. So yeah, I want to share a bit of a seasonal outlook with yourselves today. I've got a slide deck that I'm going to do my best to share here. And yeah, we'll go through it and really want to open this up for conversation and questions from yourselves to see how we can provide more information and yeah, really have a two-way conversation in this space. Let me know that you can see my screen.
Yeah. Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so just going to do a little recap of last year. Provincially, we had 1,377 fires with approximately 886,000 hectares burnt. Within the Kamloops Fire Center, we had a relatively low fire number for ourselves, with just less than 300 and only 10,000 hectares burned, which, as you're all aware, is a significantly low number in comparison to previous years. And that's really down to a number of factors. We had a lot more moisture come through at very favorable times for us throughout the season. And that's really some of the success that we see. We're getting out there, we're getting aggressive on some of our new fire starts, but we're also seeing that some of those weather cycles really lined up well for us. We got a number of new lightning starts throughout the season that kind of came with a lot of moisture. So it gave us time to get on top of those fires and catch them before they had those significant runs. And it's how we're trying to watch ourselves as we go into future seasons is what's coming with each of these weather systems. We generally get 3 to 5 major weather events throughout our summer season, and it's kind of a roll of the dice to see if it's going to come with moisture, or if it's going to have significant challenges, as well as what's the buildup in the front end of the seasons that we're kind of really looking for. So that really starts to paint a picture of how successful we can be. Of this, we managed to suppress most of our fires under the 5 hectare size, and that's generally what we consider an IA success, is to be able to get it out or contained by 10 a.m. the next morning, or wrapped and completely non-threatening to the public in less than 5 hectares. As I said, it's not always possible, depending on how these weather systems come in, depending on how we're pressed across the whole province. Significant factors start to impede our ability to be able to navigate response. Kind of moving forward into this year, just wanted to do a brief kind of overview of our region as a whole, just to give everyone a bit of an understanding of what we actually have on deck for response for this year, and just a bit about how the centers are sort of spread out. We got 6 fire centers across the whole province. We're currently in the Kamloops Fire Center, and we break that down into a number of zones that then respond throughout the area. Our Vernon office and our Salmon Arm location are probably both well situated to be able to support your region. But across the whole province itself, we have 6 fully staffed incident management teams. Got 1 currently deployed down in Lytton, and 5 sitting ready to go in the event of any major incidents. We've got 30 22-person unit crews available to us, and they're pre-positioned around the province, ready to go, can be utilized across any of our kind of major incidents, and generally are kind of the bigger workforce that comes in, type 1 resource to support the ongoing efforts. We have 151 3 to 4 person initial attack crews, and they generally stay local to their zone office. and become that first line of response when it comes to the fires evolving in their area. We generally, in this region, given how aggressive and how fast fires can move, we try to deploy at least two of these crews at a time to give us the best chance of being successful within that 5 hectare target. If we're starting to see that we're not getting that success in that space, we start to bring in additional resources, be it the unit crew, be it heavy machinery, or additional aerial resources. One thing that's really great for where you are, and I'm very fortunate to have it within this region, is we manage the provincial contract for the rappel program. So we have 11 rappel ready crews based out of Salmon Arm, and so they're embedded in that part of the world. They do all their training, they live on base, and then they can be used depending on the hazard around the province, repelling into hard to reach tactical fires. But because they're within our region, we definitely get our fair share of use of them, and a lot of significantly challenging terrain in and around where you all call home, and that we generally see a rappel crew or two deploying. The beauty of this crew is they can be self-sufficient. They can also support us medically as well if we need to extract anybody, and they also speed up the process of getting in and getting resources onto the ground. We can drop them in, they can build a helipad, and then we can start bringing in all the additional resources, which is very helpful for us. We have the ability to start pulling from the rest of broader government, and having people that already have certification that can come in and fill different ICS positions throughout the season. So we can work with the other ministries to pull people in as required. And not to mention, there's a number of private companies out there that provide firefighter services in the kind of type 2 and the type 3 fire services. So not that front line of defense, but more kind of getting in and around these major fires and providing additional resources in a mop up and cleanup process so that we can keep rotating our type 1 resources out to the new emerging fires. Um, our aviation program, we have 8 air tanker groups with a fleet of about 28 fixed wing aircraft currently on base, and they're spread out across 14 different bases around the province. So as it relates to us here, we've got a tanker base in Kamloops, and we've also got one in Penticton. We're also fortunate enough that there's one up in Williams Lake and a number out in the southeast that can come in and be favorable to the area that we're working as well. And then there's about 120 different helicopter providers, mostly based in BC, that we can tap into for contracted services as well, which is very beneficial to our ability to respond. A little bit of a breakdown of the Kamloops Fire Center, broken out into 5 different zones. And each of those zones responsible for wildfire response within their geographic until it gets to a size that they're unable to suppress that. And then we start to bring in incident management teams and provide more of a regional capacity support based out of Kamloops here to support their evolving incident needs. We're also triaging across all 5 zones at a time to see what our priorities are and where we can best position our resources for incoming weather. And so if we just look at the weather forecast for the next 2 days, we've got significant lightning coming into the forecast across our west of the center and a little bit up onto the east, coming in overnight tonight with higher winds expected tomorrow. So what that looks like for us is we'll start to reposition some of our resources into those known areas where we expect to see some of that lightning. And knowing that we're going to get the wind tomorrow, we're going to be nervous about human caused fires and some of those lightning fires being a little bit challenging to suppress at that 5 hectare kind of size. So that really starts to play into our planning as we go into the week. We're also aware that coming into this weekend, we're going to get some rain. So it's going to help in that space, but it gives us about a 48-hour period where we definitely start to increase our resources. And that goes into our main planning. So of what you can see on the screen here, this is what's at our disposal in the Kamloops region. We can also pull from 5 of the other regions as well, depending on what the prep level is and the hazard level is at each location. And we're generally looking at that, stepping up our resources accordingly, making sure we're resting some other ones, and really just trying to play those weather systems to see what it's going to be like and what sort of challenges we may be faced with. One of my favorite tools that we've added to the region in the last few years is our ability to fly at night. And so we've been lucky enough in the Kamloops region to be able to trial this out for BC. And this is our third year that we're now operational in this space. And so starting to get the run of it and really figure out how to operate. We've got three tanking units that can drop 4,000 liters at a time, and two aviation platforms that work around with these tanking units to provide kind of overhead and support and coverage when they're responding to incidents. Within Kamloops, it's really beneficial for us when we get these lightning starts to be able to get this unit out overnight, start doing some of the detection, start getting some of that information into our ops room, getting a plan in place so that when the crews wake up in the morning, they've got their objectives, they've got their directions to get to those incidents, and we've maybe been able to apply some water to those fires to slow them down, and then they won't be as significant as we see the day burning start to take effect. It's been really advantageous for us around the Merritt area where we get a lot of lightning up on the high plateau areas there, and being able to detect it at night, you're able to see it through the infrared piece, allows us to catch these things before in the past we would have seen days go by before we would have seen significant smoke start to build. And at that stage, it becomes a resource sucker. The other really good thing about this is after all the rest of our resources are grounded, it allows us to fly into those evening hours. It allows us to start putting water onto incidents way into the dark and provides that extra support, in particular in and around those interface fires where we see a massive big fire up on top of a slope. And as we see that wind change overnight, we start to see it descending down and it starts to go down slope. Always brings in a lot of panic to the situation. And so when we can actually put an aircraft in there to do some cooling along the way, it gives us a workable ground for our crews to support response into the evening. Doesn't come without its risk though. It's certainly something we consider every time we put a mission out there. It's certainly dangerous to fly in the daytime and even more complex to do at night. So we're very cautious about how we use it, and we're also very mindful of what interactions we may have with the public as well. Very hard to see people at the best of times on the ground, and it's another significant hazard that we have to watch for in the nighttime. But as was said here, last year we had 14 detection missions and 22 recon missions that help build in that intel to help us do some future planning to get out there and respond to the incidents. And we've already been successful in a number of flights here in the region for this season. The unit's been working out in Lytton for the last few days. We brought in some dip tanks to be able to provide some additional resourcing into the evening to back up those overnight crews to really start to tie in some of that incident up on the hillside so that it's not going to be a problem for the next few months. And then we also rely heavily on the forest industry. So when we get hot and bothered with all of our incidents, generally shuts the forest sector down, which then we take advantage of and bring them to work in capacity of building guard, building roads, everything we need to be able to get in and respond to these incidents. So we wouldn't be able to do it without all these local resources, and especially the knowledge that's in that land base to be able to work out plans, operate in this steep and deep terrain. It's really great having those local knowledge and local experts to be able to tap into and pay accordingly to provide support. As I said, the fire type 2 and type 3 contract crews are used heavily, as well as their fire departments. So depending on the jurisdiction, it will either have the fire department having a primary response capability, or else we have the ability to bring them in for mutual and support, be it structure protection, structural defense, whatever is needed. We operate through the interagency. It allows us to ensure that we have professional services from our side, professional services from their side, and work together in collaboration when it comes to evolving wildfires. We're getting a lot better at coordinating in this space. Unfortunately, we've been tested and challenged a number of times in the last few years, but it's starting to come together a lot better now, and we've taken advances here with some of our local team to build out a fire services dedicated support team based out of the provincial office here in Kamloops that allows us to be timely about how we respond. So, for an example, if we have a fire close to a community and we're working with the local government about potential alerts orders, we're automatically assuming that we're going to roll um, structure protection. And so without that documentation being fully complete, we've got units rolling and starting to be at the disposal of that fire department or ourselves to start looking at structure defense. And so we're really trying to break that time lag that has existed in the past and make sure that we're surging resources as best we can so that when that fire ultimately does move in a direction that it's not favorable, we have resources on the ground that can integrate and support that kind of evolving incident. We've also signed contracts with a number of First Nations communities to provide initial response crews, and that's just given us extra capacity in some of the more rural and remote areas, to be able to tap into basically an IA response to those evolving incidents, get some eyes on target, and be able to respond accordingly, as well as working with a number of communities that have established community wildfire response crews and integrating them into more the later stages of the fire once things have established and we can kind of get control of the incident. So I am going to provide a copy of this slide deck, so don't mind me if I do jump through. I just want to get to the important points and certainly make sure there's plenty of time for questions at the end here as well. So as everyone is aware, our spring this year looked a little bit challenging. Overwinter snows in some parts of the region were way below average. We were snow clear in the valleys, in particular on the west side of this center, very early in the season. In some cases, didn't even see that snow cover at all. As you transition across more east into the Rockies and so, there was significant snowfalls, which has definitely been beneficial for us. But the spring itself was significantly dry, and with that brings obviously some challenge. It's really starting to impact the kind of drought levels, and we're seeing surface water levels in lakes and creeks certainly below average. We're also seeing that the drought has been persistent and it has extended through the winter, and we're not seeing the rebound recoveries that we would have hoped for coming through into June. That said, though, June has been wetter, which has been very beneficial. If having this conversation in May, I was a lot more worried about where we may transit in through the June, but we did get some significant rainfalls, and we've had some weather systems that have been really favorable for particularly the east side of the region. But yeah, it's also helped reset and rebalance some of those targets out in this area as well. But what has been interesting is we are seeing fire at all elevations. In the last kind of week or so, we've had a number of significant targets. We had a weather breakdown last Friday, I believe. And with that, there was some challenging fire behavior at the low elevation, the mid elevation, and right up in the alpine. Just big indicators that it is certainly dry underneath that green layer that we're currently seeing. And there's definitely significant drought within the stands of trees, and yeah, certainly being challenging to fight some of these fires. Right now, the benefit we have is that we still have a lot of greenness around, but it's not going to take long for that to dry out. So yeah, certainly it's a concern for us as we transit into the main part of our summer here. This region generally doesn't get busy until the middle of July, and we've already seen some significant fire behavior and growth across the region in many of our zones so far this season. Very happy to see that from Saturday onwards, we're definitely getting moisture across most of BC and most of the region, which is going to be beneficial to help reset things. And what that generally does is a few days of that kind of sprinkly rain really resets us by about 2 weeks before that fire danger starts to build back up again to a significant challenge. And with that, we're trying to tread the needle between having a high fire danger and not having a significant wind event that's gonna create that start or create that push with those fires. So yeah, when we get into situations like tomorrow, where we've been sitting on hot for the last few days, we certainly would be concerned about some of the lightning starts we may see up in the Alpine, but also it's the human factor, and that's certainly a concern because anytime there's a human start, there's generally property close by, and high winds, high fire behavior, it creates some significant challenges. So we start to resource accordingly and then start to take some of those factors in. But I mean, we can't put a firefighter behind every tree, so there is unfortunately going to be some challenges with that as well. Just a little bit of a kind of an overview, a little bit daunting to look at in some regards, but just showing some of that drought. Generally, as the season progresses from last year, we get into a winter. The hope is that we get enough snow that it starts to soak in and reduce that drought. It did for the most part in all locations, but we've been seeing that drought code start to build again from early February with lack of that snow cover and the fact that weren't getting the moisture we would normally, as well as May being significantly dry across this whole region. And then we were getting rain in June, as I said, but not as noticeable as we've seen in previous years. So certainly a little concern, especially through the Caribou region here, right out against the kind of west coast mountains, and then down into the main body of Kamloops Fire Center here. Um, Not as bad out on our boundary side here, up in the high Alpine, but still significant challenge because as we see with this is as we get fire starts here, these become deeper and harder to control, and it starts to suck resources away from other objectives. It's just a few of the images and some of the burning we've seen so far this year. And just yeah, a bit of an outlook from Environment Canada on kind of what it's looking like across this season for us here. Just wanted to quickly touch on this piece. I won't go into super detail on it, but we want to be real clear here that we don't issue orders or alerts, and our primary role is response on Crown land, and we have the ability to work with local fire departments within their jurisdiction to order up resources and provide aerial support to them, as well as planning for preparedness and protection of the Crown land assets. We work alongside EMCR to conduct coordination calls with local impacted communities to make sure we have the right people around the table and the right people tied into the incidents to make sure that we're doing what we need to do to respond. And so it's upon my staff and local government's fire departments to be lockstep when it comes to these incidents, sharing intel together so that we're able to plan for what may arise from an incident. It's an area that we have in the past struggled to get to coordination with because we're working maybe up on top of a mountain range and not necessarily considering the potential impact of that community straight away. But what I'm saying is I want local government to engage with us early so that we're ensuring our staff are sharing the right information with your teams and looking at that long-term planning piece for what evacuation routes need to look like, getting that local intel together and understanding what a structure protection plan may look like if a fire is to migrate in that direction and become a significant challenge for a different jurisdiction to work alongside. Um, I do have a few slides here that have QR codes, and this is just a bit more information that you can provide to your staff in and around how we work together and roles and responsibilities of all these different partners, as well as yeah, really wanting to reiterate that from my point of view and our team's point of view, public safety is number one, and we won't be able to put our staff into some of the situations that people would expect us to potentially go into. We cannot endanger the lives of our staff, and that is the number one primary response piece. And I certainly recognize the challenges of when communities are on fire and the stress and anxiety that some of that can bring. And at some stages, we have to make sure we're moving our resources around to keep them safe, and then make sure that they're able to continue working and move on to the next incident as they arise as well. Where this really starts to rub is with communities that want to be a part of the response. We certainly work as best we can with local groups, but recognize that it is a dangerous environment and it's something that we can't control very easily. And we are very worried that we're going to see people get seriously injured and die because of a result of getting entrapped or hit by burning trees. And it's we will always put up a bit of a posture that we need people to get out of the way and leave it for the professionals to work in this space. And I know that that can be a tough statement to hear, but we have the ability to collaborate with your local fire departments and the different agencies that are available, and we certainly are doing our best to ensure we have the best response possible. And in some cases, that's public aren't going to feel that that's adequate, but we it's the situation we kind of get ourselves into, I guess. And just a few reminders here about staying alert for some of the aircraft. In particular, around your area, we do pull off a number of those lakes and some of those high alpines. And just a reminder again to the public around the importance of not having not operating their own boats in areas that we're trying to pull from. Again, a significant challenge that we've seen over the last few years is the use of personal drones in and around the fire face. If we do see that happening, we end up having to pull on ground all aircraft until we can confirm that that unit has been removed from site, and it does really delay our ability to get operational, and something we don't want to be doing. But again, pilot safety is critical, and certainly don't want any additional challenges on the landscape. So, oh, sorry. What we've been doing over the last few years is really building out our webpage and our apps to give as much information. We recognize that people want more information and we're wanting to be transparent about that. And we're trying to give as much as possible. We've integrated a number of new computer systems that do some modeling that help understand how the fire is going to grow, and starting to really work with the different agencies to get intel from the field quicker. We're starting to put in more cell support. We're using satellite data connectivity to bring that information out of the field into our offices so we can work with it from an operational point of view, but also push it out through an information point of view. We want to be able to help shape that narrative and explain the complexities of what everybody is working on. And so we've really strived to build out our website and our app to be able to inform people of the best information. One thing that horrifies me with the world of AI right now is some of the AI imagery that we're seeing of some of these fires and the significant panic it's putting into the community. So the messaging that we're giving is driving people back to the app. This is where you're going to get the best information. There may be a sentiment that it's not quick enough, but the reality is it takes time for staff to run these patrol lines, get out there, take the photos, and we're as being as transparent as possible about that information once it comes from the field. In most cases, from my position as the fire center manager here, I'm not engaging with the operational staff minute to minute to get new data. I'm actually taking it from the web page because the commitment we've made is the minute that is received in here is to get it shared out as quick as possible so that the public can have something to work off of as well. As well as being able to set up these kind of perimeters around the incidents that you're having, notification triggers about what may be happening in that area. The app itself has become pretty incredible. And the piece I really like about it is the report of wildfire. Within that system, you can take a picture of it. It will take all GPS coordinates and it will ask you a few questions. And then that gets sent straight into our operations room where the ops officers are able to pull it up on the big screen see what you're seeing, and deploy resources accordingly. In the past, we've had to rely on phone calls and then sending someone out to verify it. The minute we get a picture in here, we can make a determination whether it's going to be favorable for aerial platforms to work it, if it's going to be a repel target, if it's going to be a para attack target. It gives us so much more ability to kind of shape how we respond and the speed we can respond. So we're really pushing to the public to share your pictures through the app, get them to us so that we can really engage, as well as we're utilizing webcams. There's a number of webcams on the highway, on different buildings around. If people have this data and information, share it on so that we can actually get eyes on it, the target, and get the right resources to it as quick as possible. Another thing we do as well is provide a number of information bulletins through email version, so you can take that from the QR code. We do a number of educational content as well throughout the year, kind of trying to educate people on the different tools of how we use ignitions, how we do control lines, how we kind of operate, what prevention is. It's a good trove of information that can be well disseminated out to the public so that they're informed on the complexities of what it is we're all operating in. And then a few more links to all of our social medias as well here. But as I said, I'll make sure you all get a copy of this. And after that, I will turn it over to some questions.
Thank you very much, Jeff. All great information for us. Council, any questions for Jeff? Councillor Bushel.
Through the chair. Yeah, thank you, Jeff. That was a great presentation, and I look forward to receiving that attachment. Just a question, do you collaborate with the province in regards to decommissioning of forestry service roads that are pretty much, like within a kilometer of a community? Like, we have some forestry service roads that they've been decommissioning. And I know the last fire we had, they had to actually plow their way back through them and open them back up again. So they keep decommissioning these roads that they're very vital roads to help firefight the local, a local fire. And that was one question. I got another question after that.
Yeah, this is a good question, and it comes up in many communities. So BC Wildfire is kind of umbrellaed under the Ministry of Forests. So we work alongside the land managers in Ministry of Forests, who actually have a lot of the rights over these Forest Service roads. So the best we can, we consult and talk about what response needs to look like in those spaces. A lot of them are under tenure or obligation from private forestry companies as they go in for salvage and harvest. So the kind of getting rid of them is sort of at their discretion under their license. But what we're starting to see, and is starting to come out in things like the landscape planning and some of the other kind of response plans, is communities recognizing that these are critical arteries for egress for communities, for evacuation, as well as for us in terms of access into some of these incidents as well. We're not going to get to a stage where we can, as a province, maintain every single road that's currently on the landscape. There'll be a significant cost, but what we can do is be better coordinated, local government, provincial government, using the capacity of EMCR as well to kind of understand what response needs to be within your jurisdiction, and see what those road networks look like for egress out of there, and then building that into some community plans to then help shape what response would look like. But in terms of where we kind of operate right now, is we look to the district to get information of when they're planning to shut roads, or when we see washouts or landslides that have impacted, and we update our response mapping in accordance. We've also been successful in the last year bringing on a number of forestry engineers and working to have temporary bridges available so that we can push and open up these roads way quicker than we have been in the past, in a temporary nature, and create that access to get up into these areas. Not a perfect solution, but it's certainly something that we're mindful of, and in particular in some of the the regions where forestry has been a heavy contributor to the area, and it's provided us some great access. But given previous years of downturn in some of the forestry, as well as significant land events, that access is dwindling a little bit. So
Okay, no, that's great, thank you. And the other one was more towards building code. And it's probably not so much for you guys, but our communities in the forest interface area and our codes for, roofing material and siding material and stuff like that should be maybe mandatory for fireproofing and stuff like that. So just something to be aware of. And if you're always collaborating with the provincial government, it's wise that we upgrade our building codes to, the places that are close to interface, don't use vinyl siding and don't use asphalt shingles and stuff like that.
yeah, it's certainly a top of mind topic for me because we have significant hazard out there because of some of the code. Our ability under a response mechanism to change that is only more in the lobbies space. But we certainly support working along communities through the Fire Smart funding, as well as some of the preventative projects that we can do in and around communities, to really showcase that and change the mindset of the public that we're going to do a part, but they also have a part to play in this as well as looking for stricter restrictions. I know we've seen significant movements from the insurance company side of it. Most of that though is more in the response side, and they're providing resources to respond versus incentivizing to actually change habits and mindsets around community hardening.
Okay, thank you very much. And thanks for everything you guys do.
Councillor Bailey, then Councillor Rich.
Yeah, thanks very much, Jeff, for that presentation. It was really informative and quite enjoyed that you went through all of the sort of communication pieces that you are kind of developing over the years. And I just want to touch on that a little bit more because one of the things that I hear and a lot from people and I guess there's a lack of understanding or there's a lack of just knowledge on it in terms of when do you actually attack a fire? So there's been some instances in our community where the fire service says, hey, there's no actual risk, but people see things burning and it's putting a lot of smoke in the air. It's causing some bad health effects for the local community. But in terms of an interface fire, that wasn't considered a priority. But in the community, it certainly is disconcerting and it's a problem for breathing and all these other things. So what is the trigger for the BC Wildfire Service to go and say, hey, we got to put this fire out quickly, right? Like it sparked, it's there. What's that sort of decision matrix look like? Because I know that's one of the biggest questions I get is like, why didn't they put that fire out when it was small?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's certainly a great question. So I'll start by saying what we're doing in response is kicking the problem down the road. So every time we respond and put a fire out, that means there's still more fuel on the landscape that needs to be dealt with. Some fire is good because it takes away that bad fuel. Our forest health is significantly impacted right now, and there's so much challenging fuel across the whole province that it wants to burn. And so the more fire we extinguish, the more challenge that can bring at a later date when you start to weigh in some of these factors about weather and increasing temperatures, longer duration summers, all the rest of it. So when it comes to say this week, to give you an example, all right, we get a number of fire starts. We're going to be looking at them through some of our mapping systems to see what the grow projections may look like. We've got some AI generative tools that kind of look at the forest landscape and can sort of run a scenario of where that fire is potentially going to go given the weather that we currently have. It will show a kind of a grow projection, if it's going to move towards a community, away from a community. And we as a zone and then a region can start to plan, okay, I've got 5 fires here. This one has a potential to impact the community in the next 24 hours. This one has a potential to impact in the next 72. This one is way up in the Alpine and it's not a concern right now. And we've got rain coming in on Saturday. So the likelihood is that it's going to suppress itself. So we're starting to build that into a plan, and then we're deploying resources accordingly. We're doing that as a zone, then a region, and then the province is doing it through all of their centers and zones. And eventually we get to a stage where the province is having to look at all of these incidents and start to set priorities. And so for each fire that lasts in duration for 72 hours, we have to do a fire analysis and do a documented understanding of what, from the expert level, land managers, as well as some fire experts, think that that fire is going to do and what the potential risk to the landscape is going to be. That then helps us plan for what that suppression tactic might be. And in some cases, it might be a monitor only if it's way up in the alpine and has no likelihood of moving. Some of it might be aggressive attack and we need to secure this at all costs. And then that starts to build out your priority level for what and how we send. But when we get to significant summer events where we're so strapped on resources because you'll never have enough, we have to take on those priorities. And in some cases, we get lucky because the weather systems spread themselves out far enough that we don't get that significant shift in weather where we get a low pressure system come through and we get okay. But sometimes that weather builds and we get hot, 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 and then suddenly we get a shift and a cold front comes through, and then those race off and we're against it again. So all that to say is it's a complex web. We generally it's life and property being number one, and then we start to go after timber values and other resources on top of that.
So a quick follow-up there.
Sure.
Yeah. Thanks very much. And touching on the amount of fuel that is actually up there. And I get that certainly allowing controlled burns are ideal. I think in recent years where some of the concerns have come from the communities is that it gets going and then they become uncontrolled or really large burns. And I understand that's burning off a lot of fuel that we have to get rid of. But I think the downside, and is the health aspect to it. I
Yep.
mean, the data now that's coming out about fire smoke and how incredibly harmful it is really a big concern. It's a huge concern in our community. I think it's a huge concern throughout the interior in general. Maybe it has less impacts in other parts of the province, but I just wanted to put that out there because I think that in my, kind of in my belief, that'll have to be a part of the consideration going forward. Yeah, maybe back in the day, we could allow the fuel to burn off that way, but what sort of downside is that on health, on individual health? So, and we're a large community of seniors, and so it's just something I wanted to put out there, and hopefully that thinking evolves over time as well.
No,
Thanks.
certainly, and I fully respect that comment, and it certainly comes to light all the time when we start to look at a prescribed fire in the off season about the significant amount of smoke in the air. The one saving grace, I guess, in my point, is that if it's out on the landscape, better smoke than it being a community burning it, and that's where some of the priority does start to go. But when we do see these fires up on the hill, like it's not a case of us like leaving it and walking away and that's done. A modified response can mean a number of different things. It could be waiting for it to get to a predetermined trigger point where actually us introducing some additional fire to burn out that fuel is going to be successful. It might be that we needed to come to a controllable line because it's too steep to get into those areas, or it might not be effective to get it while it's in that draw and it needs to move across so that we can actually use our resources accordingly. And then at that stage, once it hits that trigger, we can surge everybody to it, controlled in that space, and then exit out onto the next fire. So your concern is well understood, and it is definitely a piece we play in it. And I think we just don't do a great job of navigating the conversation about what modified response looks like. Because just flying aviation resources overhead to drop a bucket of water every now and again doesn't help. It helps to get eyes in the sky to see how it's growing, but it doesn't necessarily satisfy the public and it doesn't satisfy the response. So yeah, understood.
Thanks,
Very
Jeff.
much.
Councillor Rich.
Still Councillor Rich, haven't changed. Thank you so much for giving us all this information. It's huge, and especially into the season we're coming. So I've got two questions for you. The first one, they're both about advocacy. So Fire Smart, the provincial government has said they will be canceling our Fire Smart program. Sycamoose has been grant funded, and we have a full-time Fire Smart chief on, and then in the summer, they do hire students. Moving forward, the funding isn't there. Is that something you guys are going to advocate for? Because again, in a community our size and where we are, we're surrounded by trees. Like literally, we live in a forest. Is that something that you guys will continue to advocate for so that the provincial government continues to provide this funding?
Yeah, so our involvement in that space from a regional response area is like I support the need for us to have communities that are well protected and supported so that when a fire does ultimately moves in that direction, it's protected. We're working alongside the regional districts to administer quite a few million a year in terms of crown land risk reduction. And our intent with doing so is to work with local governments to find advantage in shared projects. And that comes to us highlighting the space and the need for Fire Smart and support services like that. So it's an ongoing conversation from a position like my own that has a region to support. That it's not lost to me that we do need to be working with local government and aligning our efforts in this space. So yeah, I hear your concern and I share your concern and lobby on that behalf.
Thanks, Jeff. Quickly, Councillor, oh, sorry, do you have a follow-up?
No, I had one more question.
Okay, because we're going to have to move on here. Councillor Beach.
Oh, okay. Thank you for all the information. In terms of advocacy as well, do you feel, I mean, we do have challenges in this situation. We're surrounded by forest and mountains. Do you feel that we're adequately in BC resourced to deal with where we are? Like, is the government putting enough money into resources to fight these fires for places like ours? And
yeah, it's a really good question. And so from my point of view, I think we have the right level of resourcing right now. Like more people doesn't necessarily mean more success. It actually, in some cases, means more problems. It's more mouths to feed, more beds to put it. It's about being strategic about how we deploy those resources, how we coordinate. Like our biggest bang for buck is actually working in alongside local fire departments to make sure we have a coordinated effort on what we do in those spaces when a fire does ultimately come in that direction. And then that goes out into how we do preparedness, how we start educating the public about defendable spaces, how we start to do the fire, like putting more firefighters out there isn't going to be successful in all cases. Like when we see the fire behavior that we're seeing, we can't put people in front of that. So it's all about that preparedness piece, understanding how we can put sprinkler systems in, how a rural community that's surrounded can actually make benefit of it, using thinning programs in and around the interface to kind of bring that fire from the canopy down to the ground so that the resources that are there can actually defend against it. But we've put significant efforts into hiring more full-time staff. Our thing is about getting full-time so we can train year round, and then looking at some of our aviation resources. And that's where, yeah, if it's not necessarily about putting more firefighters out there in my mind.
Thanks, Jeff. Councillor Evans.
Thank you through the chair. Can we expect a campfire ban soon? I saw somebody on the beach the other day and it was quite a large fire and it kind of was scary.
Yeah, campfire ban. Right now we meet every Monday as a leadership team in the region and look at the hazard across the center and make a determination on what we're seeing right now. no intention to put it on for at least another 10 days, but we'll be looking at the data on Monday to see what we get after this significant wind event and rain that's coming in. But the thing with the campfire ban, we don't want to be too heavy-handed in that space, because we represent a majority of people are actually mindful and respectful and well capable of managing that fire. And then there's others that are always going to breach that regardless. And that comes down to us being stewards of the land, I guess, and as a public kind of holding others accountable as well to not ruining that.
Thanks, Jeff. Just a quick question before we wrap it up here. Percentage of human-started fires compared to the rest. What do you think in BC that percentage looks like?
I'd have to follow up with the exact percentage, but we're definitely predominantly lightning, and we're moving into that lightning stage right now. So July, August is generally our lightning starts. Our human starts as being the last few weeks. Where we get big campfire, or not like massive burns where they're burning pallets and having parties up in the gravel field pits. We're seeing a lot of vehicle fires causing wildfires, and a number of structure fires as well as trailers and things like that. So I think it's about a 60-40 split, but I'd have to send you the exacts. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Jeff. Thanks for joining us today and accepting our invitation to be here and share with us. That's all great information. And thanks.
Well, thank you for having me, and hopefully we don't have to all talk too much over the summer, and have a great,
Exactly.
great summer for all.
We did 2023 was quite the year, right? So
Oh, yeah.
hopefully we
Well,
don't
let's
have
not
another
repeat.
one of those.
Okay. We'll
All
talk
right.
soon. Bye.
Thanks, Jeff. Okay, moving right along, we are going to 2026 non-metered utility invoices. Bianca, you want to take that away?
Yep, so this report was just done up, after we received, some comments from utility user, just about due dates and all that, and they're, non-metered. So I just did a summary just for council's information. No real direction needed, if it's totally up to council. But just highlighting kind of the pros of being a metered water user. We break it up, 2 billings a year, flat is 1 billion a year, very standard. Most communities do it this way. This is what I'm used to. Sam does it that way.
Council questions, Councilor Rich.
Chair Bianca, maybe you can answer this. Why, I know we have a small population that refuse meters. Is it because they don't want to be monitored, or why can't we get this group to say no?
Yeah, some people also just like, and they don't want to get a plumber in. Their plumbing might be more complicated, older houses. I think that's the main reason. I don't know.
What's the percentage that are not metered?
Quite small, actually. We have over 1,500 meters, and we have 78 accounts for a flat. So 5%. Yeah, it's pretty low.
Councilor Bushel.
Yes, through the chair. Yeah, 78, that's still pretty high. For whatever reason, they like to pay a high price. I guess that's fine. Just on the water meter, we don't have any delinquents. You didn't have make any report on the delinquents. Do we get a lot of delinquents on the quarterly or the metered use?
The metered, yeah, it's about the same.
About the same? Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah.
If it made any difference. Thanks, Bianca.
Councilor Bailey.
Yeah, thanks for this. This really informative. Why did we set it at 3.5 times? Is there kind of a logic or a reason behind that, or is that part logic is in part disincentive not to have it? Yeah.
And also just like not knowing what their use really
Like
is.
what they use it. So Ms. Fall, do we probably know where these 78 are, and are they residential or are they something else? I'm just trying to determine whether 3.5 is appropriate, right? If they're heavy water users.
Majority residential, yeah, mass majority. I think we only
Really?
have a handful that are commercial.
That's fascinating because why would you want to pay 3.5 times just not to have a meter?
We've gotten quite a few added onto metered. I would say
Right.
like quite a few, like if you look at our building permit stats, quite a few new water meters getting put in. It's a little bit higher because people that have been ignoring their notices that their water meters need updating. We have enforced moving them over to the flat rate.
Mhm.
So
Okay,
yeah.
thanks.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, thanks, Bianca. Okay, we're going to move on to the draft of the official community plan. There's a recommendation that the committee of the whole receive the draft official community plan for discussion and provide direction for revisions prior to presentation to council for consideration of first and second reading. Could I get a mover on that? Councillor Bushel, Councillor Rich. Nicole, did you want to speak to this?
Yes, to the chair. Okay, we've received the draft back from Urban Systems, which is good news. This is after a very long planning and development committee meeting. I think we met for about 3.5 hours, going through page by page. So all of those comments were provided to Urban Systems, including council officials' comments from the public. And this is what we've received. So this should be the final draft before we present it for first and second reading. But before we get into taking a look at it, I have some slides. They're not exciting slides. I can talk as you find them. Project background as a reminder. So in February of last year, Urban Systems was awarded the contract to refresh the OCP. And then some of those project goals in the contract included just addressing legislative requirements for OCP updates, responding to changing community conditions and priorities, engaging and involving the community through a streamlined engagement process. So that was our public consultation that happened last summer, OCP in a week, council meetings. The focus was on updating or developing key sections and content, and then aligning and integrating other district plans and strategies with the OCP. So all of the great work that we've done from 2016 to today included in the OCP. Aligning with residential land use designations. I mean, the whole purpose of why the OCP is getting updated at this time. Integrating the housing needs assessment projections. So that's the great work that June has done for us. Strengthening the TUP policies was a request. Development permit area updates, including hazard and riparian areas. Some general housekeeping updates, reorganizing, and updating mapping. And then revising to help with enforcement, and then modernizing contents around ALR agriculture. I have a slide about the process. I moved our star a little bit further. We're still between 4 and 5 because we haven't gone to first and second reading yet, but this is where we're at. And for next steps, so we would love to receive input from the committee of the whole today. I think the last time we presented, we gave it to the committee of the whole and we didn't actually discuss it. We discussed it at length at the planning and development committee, but never here. So that's today. So next we would refine it for first and second reading, do our external referrals. So ALZ, CSRD, school district, MOTT, follow up with First Nations. All of these agencies have been notified that this is coming, but that would be the formal referral after second reading. And then public hearing, third reading, adoption. So after receiving the draft from Urban Systems, so June, Dean, myself have all gone through it. We have our own notes. I won't go through them, but we would love to hear your thoughts on the draft. And if there is any further refinements.
Councillor Bushel. Because you got the printer copy right in front of you.
Well, Chair, I mean, I was lucky to get this printed copy from Shauna and Allison. And you guys, we were having problems with our agendas, so a lot of people didn't get it. But I did. I found about 30 more items that are of concern. You know, like it doesn't mention natural gas and it contradicts the. I mean, I'm happy that you guys call it a transportation corridor now, not a park. But in the other section, it calls it a park. So there's still some work to be, a little bit of work to be done. And I know I only really started on it on Saturday and I could still go through it again and probably find some more. So I don't know. I'm almost ready, but I don't know about everybody else.
Counselor Rich.
Yeah, through the chair. So I am not ready. It is a giant document, couldn't open it. Finally got it open. And there's a lot of bylaw, like just because I think I'm the bylaw police in town. Quiet. There's a lot of bylaw things too that need to kind of be updated. So I'm wondering, are we doing any more updates on those or?
After the OCP, I think.
Yeah.
Had CO.
So the process that we established was to finish the update for the OCP, which we have to based on provincial regulations. So we have regulations, legislation, it mandates that we have this completed. This was the reason behind this OCP update, was there was money available, a grant that was provided. Province created a regulation that requires us to do that around housing. So that was the reason, the catalyst behind this OCP update. Following the OCP update, we have a number of zoning bylaw updates that are required as part of the implementation of this OCP. And so we'll be bringing that forward immediately afterwards. Other issues have been identified, and there will be an opportunity for council to identify zoning bylaw issues that they wish to have addressed at the same time.
And I would love a hard copy too. Makes it easier to read.
Counselor Evans.
Yeah, I did a pretty good go over it. It's really good, but I think we need a little more time. Like our CAO said, we've got that opportunity, but it's had a lot of good updates, and I did a pretty good summation. Not me, I got a good summation of it, and I think it's identifying where we're going as a community.
So, council, does everyone feel that we should just schedule another meeting to review, or when's the next PDC, or do you guys want to meet? What's your thought process here? Counselor Bushel, then Counselor Bailey.
Yeah, I was through the chair. I was gonna just mention also, I was at the mayor's breakfast the other morning and a resident there did send a letter in regarding the ALC and asked if we had a copy of it, and I haven't seen it yet. That was addressed to the mayor and council. So there's probably other stuff that still has to come to us as well. So I just thought about that.
Go
I
ahead.
can explain that. So there is letters that do come in. They will form part of the public input you receive, and you'll get that whole package. This is the before we actually go to bylaws. A little premature. I did respond to that ALC comment, as well as provided an explanation on why that isn't a part of this OCP update and the process that would have to take place if we were to review ALC exclusion application as a municipality. So there's approximately 20 properties that would be impacted by what they proposed. We provided an outline on what that would mean. Those 20 property owners, consultation that would have to take place. It's a bit of a planning process. There's a bit of study work that has to be done. It's a claim of commercial necessity for land that we would have to demonstrate through study and then approach the ALC for that. So council would have to make a decision that would follow the OCP update. You can't incorporate it into this OCP update because the provincial legislation doesn't allow you to designate land that it's ALR for commercial development without an ALR exclusion.
Counselor Bailey.
Oh, well, I think it's important enough. I mean, they've certainly had it enough. Like PDC came back and we gave it back to urban systems, I don't know, a couple of months ago, was it? So, I mean, if council needs some more time, I'd rather everybody take some more time to take a look at it. That's prudent. Another 2 weeks or so, it's gonna, like I said, the consultants had it longer than council has, so I think we shouldn't rush it.
Teal.
So through Sean, we could certainly have it tabled today for a council meeting that you select. And that would give you the opportunity as a council to spend more time to review. Anybody that wants a paper copy of the OCP, we're happy to provide it to you. I personally have a paper copy, but I need to read it on paper to truly read it. It's an additional thing, so I certainly need that as well. So I understand everybody's need for a paper copy. We can certainly provide that to you.
Counselor Rich.
Yeah, through the chair. I do think it needs to be tabled, but I also think anything addressed to mayor and council, it shouldn't be held. Everything should come. And then even if it's for a bylaw or something, everything and it could be about a dog walking on the street. If it's mayor and council, it needs to come to every meeting. That's my mail. That shouldn't be held and then said, this is when you're getting it. So if it is a bylaw issue, you can put that in there and say on top, this is where this affects us. And then we can read through that and then address it to the proper space. But if it has my name on it, I should see it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we quite often receive input in advance of council receiving the actual bylaw. And we do hold those pieces if they're specific to that. If it's a general letter just addressed to mayor and council, we'll go to mayor and council. This was specifically for the OCP, an input for the OCP bylaw. So that bylaw hasn't come to council yet. So it is being held for that reason. We certainly could provide council when we have the next meeting or in advance to the next meeting, provide you the number of letters that we received on various topics with the OCP. It's being held for the bylaw. So if we have a development application, for example, and the application hasn't come to council yet we're getting letters for it. We don't just automatically forward all those letters through it. We wait till the bylaw comes forward to council and we include all of those documents with it, or else you're getting piecemeal input. So that's the intent behind it. It's not certainly to hold back from council receiving it. So we can certainly share with council if they wish.
Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, through the chair. Yeah, Dean, I just think it's, if we get that on the third reading or we need time to do our homework. There's a lot, when you gotta go through an annual report or OCP or zoning bylaw, and you only get it on the Thursday or Friday, and you gotta be ready by Wednesday. That's a lot of stuff. So if it's addressed to mayor and council, just get it to us and then we can then think about it, work on it, do our homework on it. It would make a lot easier for council for sure.
So how does council feel about bringing this back to committee of the whole on the 8th? Or we could do, is there PDC on the 15th? Or has it been, there's a PDC on the 15th?
I have one on the 15th, aren't we? Yeah.
Just for clarification, though, the PDC did review it and has forwarded it to council. So do we want to go back to PDC as a suggestion?
I was thinking of format to discuss it. That's a good format. We don't have to, we can bring it to council, but I think there'll probably be some council getting together to go over it. So I was just thinking perhaps one of those would work better. Go ahead, Councillor Kelly.
Can do it, and all councillors who want to be there can do it. And we could just have it out there or have a full discussion of it. And then, it's whatever people think is the best format.
Yeah, that's what I kind of feel about having it at PDC again. I know it's come to council and then gone back, but it's a format that you can sit and discuss it. So, and everybody can bring their notes and contribute. Councillor Rich.
Yeah, and through the chair, I don't know if, and I mean, going back through planning, I guess is a great idea. I listen to the meetings. It's not always easy to get to for me because of the timing. But, is it a workshop? This is a pretty important document. Like, should we be having a 2-hour sit down where we actually have a meeting and we can just hash it out and go, what does that mean? How does this work? That kind of thing. And I understand it is July and we're in the heat of summer and we're all very, very busy with our jobs because that's, you make hay when the sun shines. But we also have a document that's going to hold for 10 years and we need to have a really good grip on this.
How do you guys feel about, is Friday too soon? We've got strategic priorities on Friday. Is that too soon to?
It's too soon.
Okay. Go ahead, Sean.
So what I'm hearing from council, and if we could get direction then, or a motion is possibly a special meeting of council somewhere around mid-month of July, if you guys want to choose a date, and workshop the OCP.
Okay. What does the middle of July look like for everyone, Councillor Evans?
I won't be here.
Yeah, Pam won't be.
Do you want to do it immediately after PDC or something on that day?
Why don't we do that? Then will that work for you, Siobhan? After the 15th, right after PDC, we go into OCP. Okay, I'll make that resolution that on July the 15th after PDC. We go into OCP review. Okay. Could I get a seconder? Councillor Bushel. All in favor? Okay, sounds good, thank you. And we should forward to Sneeze and Active, like they should we make sure that they've got a copy too, so that if they want to be here for that meeting as well, they can join.
Just a question, what time of day would the OCP meeting be after the PDC?
What time do you generally,
About an hour and a half of PDC,
10:30?
11.
Okay, I have to do a funeral that day. I wouldn't be able to be here till 1 PM.
Do we want to push back to 1? Would that work? Take a break and then come back for OCP? Okay,
That would be fine.
we'll adjust that, amend that to 1 PM. And Dean, for staff, if we could get some hard copies, that would be great.
We will ensure that happens.
Thank you.
We want them beforehand, so if you can just let myself or Allison know, I already have you down, Councilor Rich. You know, like everybody.
I think everybody will.
Everybody. We're all old. Allison's all over that, thank you.
For yourself over there.
Seniors, all seniors.
We'll see.
Dean, are you gonna give me your copy, or should I just ask?
We don't need color, right? Is it just front pages?
Allison, you can just bring me one too, please. You want a copy? And one for Todd. One for,
And a highlight.
Sounds good. That's the best way.
all right, let's move along. 2025 District of Sycamoose Annual Report. There's a recommendation that the committee receive the 2025 annual report for discussion and provide direction to staff as appropriate. Council Evans, seconded by Councilor Bailey. Shauna, do you want to take this one?
Absolutely. So staff have prepared the 2025 District of Sycamoose Annual Report. A lot of work goes into this annual report by every staff member from every department, or someone from every department, and then put together by corporate services. It is a statutory obligation of the organization, and it kind of provides an overview of what the organization has done over the past year. We look at each department, what those departments' goals were the previous year, and they should align mostly with what the achievements are in the year that we're reviewing. We also include the statement of financial information and the audited annual financials as a part of this as well. So last council meeting, you guys approved the statement of financial information, and I think it was back in April that you approved the consolidated financials. They have been included in this. Today is for discussion. I hope everybody's had an opportunity to take a look at it. We kind of break it out by, different departments and what different services, I guess, is probably a better reflection, and what the organization does. We have to put it up for public inspection for 14 days. So today is a discussion, and then we have a special meeting of council at 9 a.m. on June the 30th. It has to be adopted by June the 30th. That is the obligation, but it's a very time substantive document that we produce. And so it went up last week. Our 14 days will be next Tuesday. And so we will consider it at the special meeting, and it will be a very quick special meeting because you're just looking at the adoption of it. At this point, we have not received any feedback from the community. We put it out and asked for that feedback to be submitted. It did go out to senior members of staff prior to it being put up on the website. I'm open for any questions.
Councilor Bailey, Councilor Rich.
Just a couple of things, and I'm sorry I didn't catch this earlier, but when we talk about planning and development committee meeting, we talking about that as last year in review?
This is a review of 2025.
Okay, excellent.
Okay, Councilor Rich.
Yeah, just through the chair, one of the things that I was going for was a contractors. So we've got Michelle, who does our business or like our inspections. She's at 81,565. Are we expecting around the same, or is there a percentage increase? Because we did have our own building inspector at that point. So what is our what will that be forecast on that number?
I'm going to defer that to our CFO.
Oh, hi, CFO.
Hi. I think we're budgeted 75 this year. And our monthly billings are looking like that.
Councillor Rich, do you have a follow-up question?
No, that's it.
Councillor Bushel?
Well, nothing serious. I just noticed, the photos in there, and medical staff, or show our old staff, show our new staff. And say that they're front office, but not a big deal. Just, you probably don't have photos of the old staff.
That's exactly what happened, but we still wanted to show our staff off. Thank you through the chair. We wanted you to see all the smiling faces of staff and we didn't have that.
No problem.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna do a little swappy here. So D's gonna become E and E's gonna become D. So we're looking to the UBCM meeting requests. So we have, I think, 4 ministers. You just want to do a quick update on that for us, please?
I will. There was questions that were going back and forth. Thank you through the chair. There was questions that were going back and forth, and this probably should have been done last week and not this morning. Because of all the questions, everybody was a little bit confused. Where are we at? Where are we at with our resolutions from 2025? Because it does take the province some time to respond to those. And then where are we at with our 2026 that we took to SILGA and what was promoted? And just a quick note on that, like Sycamore should be super proud. There was 3 endorsements out of SILGA, and out of those 3 that are being promoted to UBCM, 2 are our initiatives. So I don't know. That makes me super proud. So I provided in an email this morning, and you guys all have hard copies on your desk, where we're at with our 2025 UBCM resolutions, what is happening, what was being promoted to UBCM from the 2026 SILGA, and then the meeting requests. So at this time, we have done Minister of Water, Land, Resources and Stewardship, 2 issues coming forth on that. It is the sort of a continuation of the riparian area stuff that was endorsed last year on the 2025, and then the foreshore issues that we are having and the lengths on those for the 2026 SILGA, and then the invasive mussels that was also promoted in 2025. When it comes to the conversation for the invasive species, CSRD has been invited to participate in that portion of the conversation if we are awarded that meeting, because that regional strength really pushes home the importance of what we are asking for. So that's for, and I'm going to take Allison calls this walrus, so water, land, resources, stewardship, because it's really, that's a real mouthful to get out there. And then the next one that we have is the Minister of Public Safety and Solicitor General. This was the 2025 endorsement from UBCM on a framework, a compensation framework for our road rescue. We have not, that is one that we have not received from a response from the province. I think it became a bigger question. Ours went forth on the floor. It wasn't debated on its own merit. It was put into a provincial, I think E34, it was put into this whole block. And so that one, the province is still working on, but we are still advocating. So that minister meeting has been requested as well. Then, yes.
Sorry, Shauna, just to interject, because I know there were some questions around this. Has everyone reread that resolution? Is everyone good with that? Do you want me to read it? Okay. Whereas the Minister of Emergency Management and Climate Readiness does not compensate local governments for providing road rescue service in response to highway accidents within their jurisdiction. And whereas provincial funding mechanisms fail to account for the full cost of road rescue, including training, equipment, and operational costs. And whereas ICBC, despite being the province's primary auto insurer, does not contribute to road rescue response costs. And whereas rural and remote municipalities provide road rescue services within and outside their jurisdictions, placing additional financial strain on local governments. And whereas many nonprofit road rescue societies in the province are experiencing reduced numbers of volunteers, resulting in pressure for more local government to take on the service. Therefore, be it resolved that UBCM asks the province to establish a sustainable funding model to fully compensate road rescue service providers for response, training, equipment, and operational costs. This was endorsed by SILGA and endorsed by UBCM. so this is one that we can speak to at a minister meeting. Go ahead, Councillor.
Through the chair, I think the only thing if we need to make a friendly amendment is it's not all road rescues. So many road rescues within BC are actually funded. We are one of 6 that I've found. There could be more. I've been doing lots of research. So most, I would even say, road rescue actually is funded provincially. Why we are not is why there is not like just an umbrella. So I don't know if that's an issue or not when we go in and say, hey, no one's being funded. Most are being funded. For whatever reason, we're just not under that umbrella. Salmon Arm is another one, which again, you go, why is Salmon Arm not funded? CSRD is funded.
In some.
In some.
In some, not all of them.
Not all.
So that's why the CSRD, again, regional, would like to join us on this so that we can.
Yeah, so I don't know if, I just don't want to get into a play on words where they think we're coming with something that's maybe not truth. So I don't know if it's some or whatever, and if we.
I don't get the facts.
So we go in with the backgrounder and so a document, Allison is preparing those. Now and when we submitted to into the portal with, we had very limited room, but it was with regards to our region.
Okay.
And that's why CSRD, but in the backgrounder, we can be very, very clear. And we usually leave those behind, right? Everybody who's going into the meetings will be provided with that information, and then that information gets left behind at the minister meeting. So most definitely, we can be very, very clear as to what that looks like, to be specific.
Yeah.
And through the chair, I would love to sit down with you and Allison. I've got lots of stats. One of them is 22% of the population lives in our area and 55% of the deaths are on our roads, our little teeny roads. So just having that, I would love to sit down and make sure that we have the right information going forward so we get this funded.
Just a quick response to that. Yes, Allison is all over that data. And when we submitted into the portal, she had statistics of our region and what the accidents look like, what of those were fatalities. So yes, I think what we can do is we can provide some drafts and then receive.
Share with all of council.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you.
Do you want me to continue on?
Yes, please.
And then, so that was one, and CSRD is being asked to participate in that conversation as well. So we have a regional strength. Then the next minister meeting was Minister of Health. And really the Minister of Health is just follow up to the minister's visits that we've had and follow up letters to that, where we are looking at funding to build out the unfinished space at the health center so that we can be successful in having interior health bring the health unit and lab services over into that. That's really what that meeting, the focus of that meeting is. I don't know, Bianca, did you want to add anything to that or?
No,
Nope.
I would say that before.
We're pretty well informed on that one.
That door even.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Actually have a meeting next week with ministry staffer, so.
Yeah, Bianca and I are gonna hop.
It could, a thank you meeting.
Yeah, I just wonder, is that a minister meeting? I mean, that's really nuts and bolts trying to get interior health to find it in their budget. I just wonder, is that something that is useful sitting down to minister with?
It actually is, because when she was here and we did the tour, she did make a comment that, you know what, and we asked and because our model is so unique and could be so beneficial for other communities. But she did say, you know what, $1 million isn't a lot. So she's thinking about it as well. So yeah, I think that there is opportunity there for her to find some money. So, and we will continue to chase it.
Oh,
Because she didn't say, no, Colleen, there's no money here for you.
yeah, oh, for sure. I was just thinking like within that vast budget. But yeah, we could put it on the calendar, get the money, but within that vast budget, I certainly hope they can find $1 million to go into a brand new facility.
Go ahead, Bianca.
Just to know that too, this would be outside of interior health's capital budgeting site.
They don't.
So there's,
So it's outside of.
Side of.
yeah, it'd be directly to us and not
No money.
not interior health taken on capital project.
So Okay, so let's move on.
Last, and to Councillor Bailey's point as well, we're making these meeting requests, but we also have the ability to still go ahead and do staff requests up until August 5th. So if we're not successful, maybe in some of, we can be addressing staff. Our last one that we did was to Premier Eby, and we were asked to give the 3 priorities. And so we just prioritized all the minister meetings that we were asking for, that the invasive, the foreshore and the leases, the invasive species, and the health center funding. And I think that is everything.
Questions? Comments? I think we're good. I think we're covering all the key points that we wanted to cover. Gord, Councillor Bushel, are you good? Okay, sounds good. Yay. That was just discussion, right? Okay, thank you, everyone. Okay, now we're gonna go to mayor and council reports and Councillor Evans.
Thank you. Through the chair, I am stopping people that are riding electric bikes on our sidewalks. I'd like to report that because one almost hit me on the way in here as I got out of my car. And this gentleman was probably 60 years old, 65, on an electric bike, a large electric bike. So I am not just picking on young people, and I'm not a bylaw officer, but as a community citizen, as a councillor, I am letting folks know, please do not ride your electric bikes on the sidewalk, especially now that our population has gone through the roof for the summer.
Absolutely. There are trails. We do have multi-use trails.
And roads, because
Yeah.
I always rode my bike on the road when I was a kid, back in the 80s.
Yeah,
So anyway,
and you're still here.
I'm still here.
Councillor Rich.
Yeah, through the chair, just a shout out to Jake for putting on another incredible tournament, and all the little kids. It was at EU11, so it was pretty cute. And then had breakfast with the mayor, and I will pipe in on the e-bikes because Thursday night I was in town. Did something else Thursday night for sickness, but I can't remember, but I was in town. And then, yeah, there was an e-bike just ripping up everything just past the traffic circle. So in that space where Main Street Landing Park is. And he was just doing burnouts and ripping stuff up. And so I went over and had a little chat with him. But yeah, it's something that we need to really focus on. It's changing our community. It makes it really uncomfortable.
It does. And you know what? Every community member has a voice, right? So if you were put in that way or in that situation, you do have a right to say, hey, slow down. You know what? The safety of everyone depends on all of us. So we have a responsibility as a community to yell, to speak loudly to people. Councillor Bushel.
Yes, through the chair, I went to the Shuswap Regional Trail Strategy meeting, which was hosted at the Medical Center. And yeah, it was a great event. It was all morning. Jamie attended with me, or I attended with her. And yeah, they're working hard. I thanked them for the, working on the phase 2, finishing the phase 1 and then working on phase 2. And they're also working on another connector trail that's going to go from the bike park over above Bayview that'll come in at 2 miles. So that's another Shuswap Regional Trail Strategy, and it's on our park plan as well. Trail that was, we've been working, it's been in the works for years. So it's good to see that they're going to start working on that one. And they had a really, they probably never come back. You could not hear a thing in that building. It was just, the sound was so bad because they had a lot of people on Zoom. It just doesn't have to get the baffles or have to get some soundproofing in there. And they just had a really tough time. So anyways, just thought I'd tell you that. Yeah, I attended one ball game. I didn't go to all of them, but I attended one. It was just amazing to see those young girls out there. And I can't emphasize how that tournament impacts our community.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing the people in the grocery store and the kids in the grocery store with their parents and just seeing the hotels. And it's just, I went through the hotel, a couple of the hotels, and seeing all the people in there after hours, and it's amazing. And we have to, I think, it's a missed opportunity, not capitalizing on that Finlayson Park and using it for, all kinds of different sports events and training. And it's amazing how the community fills up in the off season with that park. That's, oh, and I also attended the mayor's breakfast, so that was very good.
Thank you. Councillor McCabe, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. Yeah, not much to report. I attended breakfast with the mayor, and I guess that's about it for me.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Beach.
Yeah, sorry, I missed a few things. I did manage to make it out to the first Friday market, and it was excellent. Huge, really huge. Great job, Deb, in promoting, but it was just a really big event and very well attended by the public as well. So huge kudos to the work Deb's done.
Thank you. Councillor Bailey.
I missed the first market, but I was working. So yeah, I'm just getting ready for the summer and lots of people. I want to echo what Councillor Bushell said about the tournaments. We really kind of need to have a tournament strategy, I think. Yeah, I think that'd be something really interesting to look at next, Councillor Dev or somebody around that, because it does really inject a lot of people into the community. One thing I want to shout out to Beach Chicks. I'm wearing their clothes today. Beautiful sandals there, by the way. I went on a little shop local, and they opened up their new store, Cabana. Really nice. Really, if you haven't been in there, please go. Wonderful new addition to Main Street, and another local company expanding, which is fantastic. So, go shop local. Great store, great owners. So just want to shout out to them and congratulations too.
I am going to echo that right off the bat. I am wearing my Beach Chicks.
I got beautiful new sandals.
And we should go and do a little flying around. You know what? I love that. There's so many businesses in town that are expanding. I went past the distillery and went, oh my God, this is like the cutest building on the planet. Like our downtown core is really, really taking shape. And Deb, with the farmer's market there on Friday night, and hopefully you've got your speakers all installed and ready to go. But it was, a shout out to that. But I also, on another note, I want to send our deepest condolences and thoughts to Kevin Flynn's family, Director Flynn, who passed away. He'll be missed. And hats off to Jake for the ball tournament. I went and helped kick that off on Friday, and Jake's 35 years into organizing this event, and he told me he's got a few more in him, so that's great to hear. So perhaps we can work at expanding that with Jake. Amazing traffic, lots of people there. I totally agree. It's a great event for our community, and it brings a lot of life here. I too attended the mayor's breakfast. I just want to shout out and thank the Chamber of Commerce for asking and hosting, and for all of those that attended. Thanks for being there. Other than that, I've been so busy in just meetings and with businesses and developers, and it's just been really, really hectic. And our community is really abuzz right now. So that's super exciting for all of us. We got a lot of development on the go, and I think that all heading in the right direction. So thanks. Okay.
Can I do an addendum to my report? Two things happening is TELUS is having a barbecue for us at the medical center between 11 and 2. All the community's invited. They're going to have a free lunch and just explain what's going on with our new fiber coming into town. So that's really important. And then we also have the car show on Sunday. So last year, I think they had 5,000 attendees. Main Street is going to be closed down, so know that, be ready to walk in. But there's lots going to be fun stuff happening, and shout out to our Car Show Society for bringing all those cars and everybody in. It's going to be a great event.
Yeah.
So the weekend's going to be busy.
Thank you for adding those, because the TELUS, we have to understand that TELUS program, that's a multi-million-dollar project for the district of Sycamoose. And now people can truly work from their homes, truly bring their businesses here, truly go to school from here because of the high-speed fiber. So, okay, so now we're going to have public input for, do we have anyone that's got, oh, Deb, please. Could you go up and state your name, please?
Been doing too much.
And I just want to give a real quick update. I was looking to do a formal update to council at the next meeting. I just need to sit down with Daryl and kind of finalize timing. And Shauna, as soon as I do that with Daryl, I'll let you know and we'll schedule something there. So, but I just wanted to say that, yeah, the market's doing well. The communities in bloom, you know, we're still really focusing on Main Street and trying to get everything going downtown. I've got a contest coming up. I'm gonna let all the businesses know, but they're all jumping the gun and doing stuff, you know, already. So, and, you know, downtown's looking fabulous, but yeah, so, and tidy towners are busy and the businesses are busy. I've been working a bit with Gardens BC and they're starting to showcase some of our things, even though we don't have a regional garden destination and membership and that. So I'll give more of an update next time and hopefully, you know, you guys have any questions you can ask me, but things are going good.
That's perfect. Thank you, Deb. Thanks for all that you do. Do we have anyone else that has any questions?
Not
Public input? Okay, well then let's adjourn this committee of the whole meeting at 2:36. Councillor Bailey, Councillor Rich, all in favor. Okay, Malcolm, you're gonna have to dial back in at 3 o'clock for our